Hello and welcome to another episode of Driving with Mitch. I'm going to give you a bit of a crypto update, market overall update. Had a great sleep. Thanks for the messages to suggest that I should be sleeping and taking care of myself. It is super important. So I've been having a look through some of my different news sources in the crypto sphere, as well as traditional finance, and we are starting to see changes in the interest rates globally. I think Canada is just about to drop the interest rates for the first time in multiple years. The US there's around a 50-55% chance the markets are saying that we will see rates start to drop in August, September, which is a couple of months away. And generally, Australia follows suit pretty closely on the US and other markets. I've talked about this before. Markets go through different stages of tightening and loosening. We've spent the last 2 years or so in a tightening phase, and generally the analogy that people use is around a coil. So when you start to push down or compress a spring, there's only so much you can compress it before it will explode, and that's generally what happens in traditional markets as well as crypto. There's only so much liquidity that can be sucked out of the markets before the markets decide that they can't run anymore or function, and things start to break, banks start to close. There's an incredible amount of banks in the United States holding massively losing positions to the tune of, I think, $870 something billion on their balance sheets. And if liquidity isn't created or brought back into the system, a lot of those banks will fail, causing a lot of people's deposits and accounts to be in jeopardy and potentially get lost as they go into like liquidation stages, and people completely lose their deposits, which is pretty scary. So it's really just a waiting game. We're definitely seeing, like, across different markets, the automotive market in Australia. A friend of mine who's a car salesman has told me that Volvo has built so many XC60s that they have enough stock for the next 7 years. So they've built so many of this car that there's just zero demand for, and they've got all this stock sitting there. Tesla has something like 2,000 new Teslas sitting at the docks in Melbourne, and there's a huge amount of stock in normal petrol cars or diesel cars in Australia that just isn't moving, and a lot of the manufacturers are giving huge bonuses to dealers to sell them, and they're just selling them massively below MSRP. And it's because people don't have the same money that they had a couple of years ago to splash around. Restaurants are closing, cafes are closing, prices are going up because they're trying to make up for the lack of people purchasing. I know we personally as a family don't go out nearly as much as we did, because it's much more important to be stacking cash and reinvesting. I was talking to a good friend of mine today. A lot of you probably know him. He's an avid property investor and worth upwards of $80 million, and he's broke all the time. Like, if you literally give him $2 and it's $1 for a bottle of water, and he is about to pass out from being completely dehydrated, and the bottle of water is $1, he'd buy a bottle of water for $1 and then he'd invest the other $1 and be broke again. And I've learned a lot from him, and over the years I generally make sure that expenses are paid, families looked after, food and shelter is always the priority, and then everything else gets invested, whether it be crypto or a car that I can potentially buy, fix and flip, or a business or a property. I follow that very similar principle. So one of those things that has been a focus for me in the last probably 4 to 6 months is spending less money out on food and dining out, and more money investing in crypto, especially given where we're at in the cycle, and talking about that spring compressing. And I've talked about this before. The longer BTC trades sideways in the range of 60 to 70k, which it's been there for quite some time now. The longer it does that, the more explosive the bull run's going to be. When we saw the move from 25 to 50 and then from 50 to 76 USK, and people were like saying we're going to be 100k in a week or 2 weeks time, I was actually quite concerned that was going to happen, because it meant that we were going to get there prematurely, and a lot of the juice and natural progression that crypto money flow happens, which we've talked about in different videos, was going to get lost purely because there was no foundation of buyers sitting at the all-time high level, which is 69,000. We have a huge amount of support there from purchases made by people and from trades happening. So this is very much a overview of crypto, traditional markets. I think we're going to start to see interest rates come down soon. I don't think we're going to see them here in Australia just yet, but it is only a matter of time before the money printers go brrr, and we start to see that money flow into assets. Now, when the money printers go brrr, which if you don't know what that meme is, you should definitely look it up. But when that happens, you want to have assets, whether it be cars where you don't have a huge amount of money. Did it again, video ended. You want to be buying assets, because assets, when inflation happens, the assets inflate and you can pull money out of them. So the majority of everything we buy, whether it be property, crypto, cars, different assets, it's more expensive now than it was 2 years ago. Cost of living is 20 to 30% more, whether it be food or rent or whatever. So it's very important. If you're worried about inflation, worried about the future, buy some assets. And you're thinking to me, well, I don't really have a huge amount of money to be able to buy or put 20% down on a property. The average property in Sydney is 500k. I don't have 100 grand, Mitch, to put down. You can find properties for $20,000 to $50,000 in Australia. You can. I've bought many of them. I've bought several and flipped them. And I'm talking about a house that has a rental income, or an apartment, I should say. So yeah, there's really no excuse for you to getting involved in any investments apart from your own reasoning. So yeah, that's really a kind of overview of what I'm seeing. If you're interested in me doing an actual charting based market update on crypto, specifically Bitcoin or Ethereum, feel free to comment below. Let me know. I'm keen to do one if you guys are interested in seeing it. Thanks for all the wishes on having a good sleep last night. Definitely feel better today. It was nice to make a decently long video for you guys. Alright, I am going to go pick my daughter up. I'm sitting in the car park at her daycare, and I'm going to go and upload this, or edit this video and upload it for you, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. See you later. Bye.